December 12th, 1992. It was a frigid winter morning in Lake Andes, South Dakota, the kind that bites skin and blurs vision with frost. A black Pontiac Grand Am traveled down a stretch of icy road, its tires slicing through patches of snow and slush. Inside were Arnold Archambeau, Ruby Bruguier, and Tracy Dion, three young lives bound by love, tension, and the weight of something unsaid. Tracy sat in the back seat. She remembered laughter at first, then silence. No argument, no warning, just a sudden swerve. The car lost control, skidded, rolled, everything went black. The wreck was discovered shortly after by another driver around 7 a.m. The car overturned in a ditch, its roof crushed. Law enforcement and paramedics arrived quickly. What they found didn't make sense. Tracy Dion was inside, injured and dazed, but alive. But Arnold and Ruby, gone. No footprints, no blood trail, no signs of anyone having escaped the crash. It was as if Arnold and Ruby had vanished directly from the car. The temperature that morning hovered near 15 degrees, with a wind chill that could freeze skin in minutes. Hypothermia would have set in fast, yet there were no signs of struggle, no trail, nothing, no one. Not law enforcement, not locals, not even Tracy, could explain how two people could survive that crash, walk away barefoot in sub-zero conditions and leave no trace behind. Or if they walked away at all. This wasn't just an accident. It was the first piece of a much darker puzzle. And it was far from over. And so begins one of the most haunting disappearances South Dakota has ever seen. It should have ended with a routine recovery, tragic, yes, but explainable. But what investigators encountered next was anything but. Authorities and medics had arrived within minutes of the crash, just after 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun was rising over Lake Andes, casting a harsh light on the frozen scene. The black Pontiac Grand Am lay overturned in a shallow, icy ditch, the roof crushed, windows fractured and snow packed around its edges. Inside, they found Tracy Dion, disoriented, injured, and shivering. But Arnold and Ruby were gone. Not hiding, not nearby, just gone. There were no footprints in the snow, no trail, no blood, nothing to indicate how, or even if, they had escaped the wreckage. Tracy later told officers something that still haunts them. She said she remembered seeing Arnold and Ruby standing outside the vehicle, not speaking, just watching her, frozen in place like statues. She couldn't explain how they got out, or why they didn't help her. She couldn't explain anything. The police begin combing the area, but even the snow works against them. Fresh snowfall overnight has erased any tracks, any trace of where Arnold and Ruby could have gone. It's as if the earth swallowed them whole. Deputies speak with the homeowner whose land borders the ditch. They didn't hear a crash. No one called it in. The wreck went unnoticed until morning. Ruby's mother, Alberta Bruguier, arrives at the scene later that day. Her face is red from the cold, but her eyes are sharper than ever. She doesn't wait for protocol. She walks directly to the car, looks inside, then back toward the field. She turns to the sheriff and says plainly, "They didn't walk away. Someone took them." The sheriff nods but offers no reply. The department files the case as a dual missing persons report. The ditch where the car landed was searched thoroughly that morning. Law enforcement called in additional support. Dogs, infrared scans, grid searches. Locals combed the surrounding fields. Divers even scanned the lake. Nothing. No Ruby, no Arnold, and no answers. But the questions, they're only just beginning. What really happened to Arnold and Ruby? Did they run? Were they taken? Or is Tracy remembering something that never even happened? Comment your theory below. Over the following days, police search abandoned buildings, drainage ditches, and surrounding tribal land. Helicopters make passes, but nothing. Not a single clue. As if Arnold and Ruby had vaporized into thin air. Rumors took root quickly. Some believed they fled to avoid trouble. Others whispered that something supernatural was involved. But most agreed. It didn't make sense. especially because months later, they were found. Near that same ditch, near that same spot, the same place that had already been searched. Repeatedly, as if they were never gone at all. As if something, or someone, returned them. Up until the time that the families are notified and become informed that Arnold and Ruby's bodies have been discovered. The Bruguier family doesn't wait for updates. They demand them. Ruby's mother, Alberta, becomes a familiar face at the sheriff's office, not as a grieving parent, but as an investigator in her own right. She shows up with notebooks, maps, and timelines. She wants answers. So does Arnold's aunt, Gloria, who's equally relentless. But the police seem to stall. Weeks pass. Updates slow to a trickle. Press conferences fade. Local media coverage moves on to other stories. For the families, it feels like the authorities have already given up. Alberta doesn't hold back in her interviews. They think our kids are just some throwaway natives, she tells reporters from Rapid City. But not to us, not to me. Whispers spread across the community. Some say Arnold and Ruby ran off. Others suggest drugs, but those who know them, teachers, neighbors, classmates, disagree. They were troubled sometimes, one teacher admits, but not vanish into thin air troubled. The local tribal council holds a community meeting. Flyers go out. Volunteers form a civilian search party. They walk frozen trails and check old sheds on the edge of town. No footprints, no clothing, no Ruby, no Arnold. The families turn to a local spiritual leader. A ceremony is held under the bitter night sky. Candles flicker, prayers rise. But the silence after the ceremony feels heavier than before. Then, more silence. The kind of silence that screams when no one else will. It's March 10th, 1993. Nearly 3 months after the crash, a county worker is out clearing a rural ditch, not far from the original accident site, when something catches his eye. A partially submerged body tangled in the icy brush. It's Ruby. She's still dressed in the same clothes she wore the night of the crash. Her body is intact, but the sight is disturbing. Her limbs contorted unnaturally, skin discolored from exposure, eyes still faintly open. The worker calls authorities immediately. The area is cordoned off. Investigators comb the scene, and just as they begin to piece together the perimeter, something else turns up. It's Arnold. His body is found nearby, concealed under thick layers of brush and debris, almost as if someone had attempted to cover him. But like Ruby, he too is still dressed from that night. Here's the problem. This ditch was searched extensively multiple times by ground teams, by divers, by aerial surveillance. There was nothing there for months. Now suddenly, 2 bodies. The autopsy reports only complicate things. Ruby's death is ruled death by exposure, hypothermia, a tragic but plausible outcome given the weather and terrain. Arnold's case is different, however. His body shows inconsistencies. The level of decomposition is off. Some organs appear fresher than others. The timeline doesn't make sense. One examiner privately admits it's like he died days ago, not months. Whispers start to spread. Were they both dead the whole time? Were they moved, or were they kept somewhere? The families are notified. Alberta collapses at the sight of her daughter's remains. Gloria screams in frustration. No one can explain how 2 teenagers go missing for months, only to turn up in a spot that had already been searched. Theories take root, but no real answers come. The sheriff's department releases both reports quietly, with no press conference. Families get printed summaries with little explanation. When Alberta and Gloria ask questions, they're told the investigation is ongoing. No further comments. Meanwhile, community members begin sharing whispers. Was Arnold taken somewhere, held captive, experimented on, or is this just a tragic oversight in small-town forensics? The funeral homes confirm it too. Ruby's body was consistent with 3 months of exposure. Arnold's wasn't. Period. Some believe Arnold witnessed something he wasn't supposed to. Others believe he tried to come forward and was silenced. A local journalist is quoted in a small newsletter saying, "This case feels staged, like someone planted them there when it was safe to do so." But who would do that? And why wait months? The theories start multiplying, but the truth? It's still sealed in an autopsy file, locked behind small-town silence. As the shock of the body's discovery settles, something strange begins to fester in Lake Andes. Whispers, unofficial theories, rumors that dance just outside the realm of evidence. Some say Ruby and Arnold were targeted, others say they were chosen. An elderly woman from the reservation tells a local pastor that she saw lights in the sky the night of the crash. Bright flashes above the woods, then silence. She doesn't tell the police. She says they wouldn't believe her anyway. One man, a former deputy who left the force shortly after the case went cold, tells a retired journalist that law enforcement was warned to stop digging. Not from above, he clarifies, but from right here in town. No names, no specifics, just fear. Flyers begin circulating about a hollow field behind the ditch where the bodies were found. Teenagers say it's cursed. Hunters avoid the area. A tribal elder says there's a burial mound nearby. Not our dead, he says, something older. Then comes the cult theory. A woman posts anonymously in a regional chat board claiming that in the early 90s, a fringe group had been operating in the Dakota backwoods. She claims they believed in transference, the idea that death could be delayed through ritual exchange. No proof, no photos, but the timing matches. Others point to inconsistencies in timing. They weren't dead the whole time, someone posted. They were held, conditioned, released, staged. Conversations go darker. Redacted FBI documents start surfacing online. None proven, all chilling. Mentions of similar disappearances in rural areas. Victims found months later in places that had already been searched. All bodies exposed to extreme cold, all decompositions inconsistent. The town quiets down. Too quiet. Alberta stops giving interviews. Gloria refuses to speak to the media. The sheriff's office issues one final statement. There is no evidence of foul play. But the community knows that's not true. They feel it. The case doesn't add up. The timeline is broken. The science is uncertain. And the silence, this eerie, lingering silence, only grows louder. What do you think really happened to Arnold and Ruby? Were they the victims of a terrible oversight, a small-town cover-up, or something far more disturbing? Let us know your theory in the comments below. This has been another case file from Dark Dossiers TV. Stay tuned for the next episode, because some stories don't stay buried.